Bishop Michael Burbidge of the Diocese of Arlington has announced the creation of an advisory council to address racism and its harmful impact on communities and individuals within the diocese. Bishop Michael F. Burbidge of the Diocese of Arlington joins me now on Skype. Your Excellency, welcome back to the show. Thank you so much for your time today.
Oh, thank you, Tracy. Good to be with you and your audience.
Well, Your Excellency, tell us your goals for this advisory council on racism, and how do you hope clergy and lay people can work together on this issue?
Well, you know, the bishops of the country in 2018 issued a pastoral letter against racism, Open Wide Our Hearts. And so part of the advisory council, Tracy, will be helping me to understand how we in this local church and this diocese have responded to that pastoral letter, how we have implemented, building upon what we have been doing. We've been having listening sessions and conferences and learning a great deal from the faithful in the diocese. So the council will help us move forward in addressing racism and to help to heal wounds and maybe to also, importantly, put in some positive steps so everyone in our community feels as a welcomed and loved member of our family.
That's wonderful. I know you first announced this decision to form this advisory council back in August, and the Diocese of Arlington has undertaken a number of initiatives to address racism. Why do you personally feel it's so important, and how exactly does it support our Catholic faith?
Our listening sessions really impacted me a great deal. As I heard stories of history and of also recent past, and even in the present day, of individuals, our brothers and sisters, talking about how they had been part of racism, have been hurt by it, and have wounds that they're still trying to heal. And having listened to those stories, I just thought it was a very important step to bring together leaders, 14 or so leaders of great expertise and background to support the diocese in our implementation plan of addressing racism. And as you said, it fits beautifully into our Catholic faith. It's a mandate of the gospel that all persons are treated reverently and equally, and the dignity of each person is upheld. So it's really a response to the gospel itself.
What would you say, or what have you said to people who may have been disheartened by injustices they see as motivated by racism?
Well, I think it's important. I think this is where Pope Francis helps us a great deal, where he tells us it's important, first of all, to acknowledge that this has been a reality in history and in the present day in various forms. To be attentive. I think Pope Francis talks to us about being attentive. So listen to the stories, as difficult as it may be. Be attentive. Listen to the stories. And that's what our sessions were able to do. And then accompany, right, to walk with people. If you're going to help people to heal wounds, you have to walk with them. You don't do it from a distance. That's why I don't want this advisory council to come up with some sort of plan that's going to sit on a shelf. No, it's going to be an action. And that's the other thing that Pope Francis reminds us of. It's not just words. We have to begin to act. And I believe the council will end up giving us some very concrete, specific steps moving forward.
I want to change things just for a minute, a little bit differently. Yesterday, you took part in the Red Mass at St. Matthew's Cathedral in Washington, D.C., and its purpose is to invoke God's blessings on those responsible for the administration of justice, as well as all public officials. I know one of the things that you talked about in the homily was the importance of the gifts of the Holy Spirit, including wisdom, counsel, and strength. Can you talk about that as it relates to our elected officials and other public servants, especially in today's climate?
Yes, I was very honored to be invited to be the homilist at the Red Mass and to address our distinguished justices and judges and professors and students of the law. The Red Mass honors the sacred character of the law, and we also pray for its guardians. And we mentioned at the Red Mass, and certainly within my homily, that there's a natural law written in the heart of every human person from which all human laws must flow. And those in the guardians of the law are are to make sure that we are respectful of God's divine law. That's where all human laws flow from. And so we must be willing to bring our faith into the public arena. We must be willing to stand firm in our moral convictions when applying justice. And we know that for any of us, as we try to live consistently our faith, we should never try to rely on our own resources. We need God's help, the strength that God supplies, most especially through the fulfillment of his promise that his Spirit will be with us. And so I encouraged those who were at the Red Mass yesterday and all your listeners, call upon those gifts that you need. And sometimes it's wisdom, sometimes it's courage, but ask God for those gifts. He promised to give it to you. And it will be those gifts, from those gifts, that we will find the strength to be faithful. As St. Paul said in the readings we used for Mass yesterday, so we could be faithful in living a manner worthy of the call we have received.
Well, thank you so much, Excellency, for joining us today. We really appreciate it. Bishop Michael F. Burbidge of the Diocese of Arlington. Thank you again.
Thank you, Tracy.